Alright, what's up everyone? Today we're going to be talking about trim paths and keyframes. So we've used keyframes with Premiere a lot and Cinema 4D for those of you who have done things with Cinema 4D. But as we talk about trim paths and how you can use trim paths with After Effects, we're going to be looking at keyframes, specifically in After Effects, and the different things you can do with them. So there's three ways we're going to look at trim paths. The first way is really simple. An example of it I have here is this video I made for Chase last week. The beginning of it, you can see his name is animated in. And this was all done in After Effects using trim paths. So there you go, that's one way. The next thing is these shapes here, like I have a circle in here, and just by using trim paths, we have that kind of animation there, which you could use as like a transition from, from a one frame to the next, or one clip to the next, I guess I should say. And then the third way we're going to look at using trim paths is a little bit more, not advanced, but you have more control over it. So we will get to that at the end. All right, so first thing that you want to do, open up After Effects. I'm just going to create a new project. I guess I'll close this out. Oops. So open up After Effects if you have not already. Okay, so when it opens up, just hit new project, and there you go. The first thing when you start a new project, you're either going to bring in the stuff you're using in it for After Effects, whether it be a graphic, a picture, a video, whatever. If you don't have anything to bring in and you're strictly making everything in After Effects, the first thing you're going to do is go down here to this box and hit Create New Composition. Couple things here that you can control how long it is. This is probably too long for me, but I guess I can change it to like 10 seconds. I probably don't even need that. I can name it Trim Paths Practice, and then I can change the color, but for me black is fine. It really doesn't matter, and hit OK. Okay, now I have a black square in front, or a black rectangle in front of me, but there's nothing down here, so I've added nothing to this composition yet. It's just a composition. Okay, so to use trim paths with text, the first thing you need to do is create a new text layer. A couple different ways you can do that. You can go up to Layer, New Text, or you can just click on the text tool here, click somewhere down in your project, and then type something. I will type video broadcast, and go back to the selection arrow. Now, a couple things that I do as soon as I make a text layer, just because it bugs me. If you're going to do any kind of rotation with this layer, or scaling with it, meaning making it bigger, like keyframing animation, this button right here is really important where you put this. So by default it's at the bottom here now, the bottom middle. I always like to have it in the center. So to do that, if you just hit Control Alt Home at the same time, and if you have your caps lock button on, it's going to give you this warning. Just hit caps lock to take that away, but Control Alt Home at the same time will put that axis point in the center of your project. Then I'm going to align it. I have the align window over here. I just click on that, hit middle, and it's going to put it in the center right there. So if you don't have this window, you just go to Window and check Align, and you can move that window wherever you want it. Alright, so now that we have that, I'm going to scale it up a little bit. To get to all of the features like scale, rotation, opacity, whatever, there are shortcuts for them. I could go in here and go to transform and then find scale. There it is, and scale it up. I don't have to do that though. If I just click on the layer and hit S for scale, it'll bring those properties up, and I can make that a little bit bigger. Okay, so now, so basically trim paths. Let's explain what trim paths is here. If I go into my text tools here, the trim pass only affects like the outline of an object, right? So the fill color is the color that the text has on the inside, right? Or if you have a shape, like let's just make a shape here. Whoops. I'll click off of that layer and we'll just make a shape. So you can see for fill, the fill is the color on the inside, right? So that's the fill, and then the stroke would be the line, the outline basically of that shape. And then if I wanted to make that thicker, I can make it thicker. So basically, trim pass is going to affect the stroke of an object or of a shape, okay? And it only works with shapes, right? So I can get rid of this shape layer. It only works with shapes, so we have to turn this text layer into shape. So to do that, I'm just going to go down here and right click on my text layer and go up here to create shapes from text. I just want to make it a shape, and now it has done that. It has kept the text layer itself in the project, but it's also made it a shape layer. You can see the difference here. When I click on this layer, there is no option to change the fill color or the stroke color up here because it's a text layer. So to do that, I have to go into the character controls and do it there. But here, it is a shape layer or shape layers. So now I have control of the color and the stroke up at the top like you would with any shape layer. So I'm going to turn off the fill. I don't need a color there for the fill. So I just click on the word fill and go to none and OK. And you can see there is nothing there. I don't have a fill or a stroke. So I need to put a stroke on here. So we'll make it a solid stroke and we'll make it there you go, that kind of green. All right, so that's pretty cool looking. Again, I shouldn't say again, but if you want to change the style of your font, you can do that right here in this character window. And again, if you're not seeing that window, you can go, whoops. Sorry. If you're not seeing that character window, you can go to window up here and look for character, and you can move it wherever you want, put it wherever you want. I can just click on that and I can move that window over here maybe, but I don't want to do that. So I'm going to go over here, drop it in there. All right, there you go. So now it is a shape or shape layers. If I open this up and look at the contents of this layer, I can see I have a folder for every letter because it's made each one of those letters a shape basically. What I want to do here, and this is what you'll do, you'll see with shapes, is open up the shape layer of the word or words that you type, and just by clicking on that little triangle there, and you'll see this word add, and there's a little triangle next to the word add. Hit that little triangle and click on trim pass. Basically you're saying you want to add trim pass to this shape layer. Okay, and that's basic. I mean, we're basically done now. If I scroll down to this trim pass folder within the contents of that layer, you can see I can control three things: the start, the end, and the offset. Offset meaning where it's going to start from. But anyways, if I take the start, you can see the end is at 100%. If I click on it, click on like the actual numbers 100 and move it to the left. It's tough to see because it's small. Maybe I'll scale this up a little more so you can see. Okay. All right. Let's go back to that trim pass thing. I'll make the stroke. You can control how thick the stroke is up here. So if I made it like 5 maybe, let's make it 5. 5, that makes it a little bit easier to see. Alright, back to the trim pass folder, and if I take that down from 100%, you can see, there it is. So basically, it's all, we're just controlling the stroke, the outline of those letters. Now, if I mess with the offset, you can see where these are starting from here. Like, I just want, let's look at the E right here. So when I take the N from 100 down, you can see it's starting from that left-hand corner. If I mess with the offset, it's going to make it 51, and then you see I've just switched where where it's starting from, where the outline is starting from. I'm just going to do that. All right. So basically, now it's just a matter of keyframing that. So if I wanted to click on the stopwatch for start and end with the timeline for the playhead at 0, I could take that out to, I don't know, like 20 frames or so. And actually, let's go back to 0. I don't want it. I just want it to be nothing at the start. So there you go. And then I'll go out to like 20 frames. Or 25 frames. Here's where you can see the frames if you care, and then I'll make that 100. Very simple animation, and if I hit the space bar, there it is. And if I only want to, if I move this bar into the left and this bar into the left, now it's only going to play for those almost 2 seconds, and then it will start over instead of going the full composition, which was, what was it, 10 seconds I made it or whatever. So there you go. There's the animation. Now, a couple, let's talk about the keyframes here for a second before we go on to the shape layer, the circles. If you look at these keyframes, they're just regular diamonds, and we want to mess with how this is animating. We can change by dragging this closer to the start. I can make it faster, right? But what if I want to keep it the same speed, but speed it up and slow it down within that same time frame? I don't know if that makes sense, but basically here's what we're going to do. If I go up, scroll all the way up here and close this folder. If I want to see keyframes for any layer or all the layers that I have keyframes with, I'm just going to highlight all the layers that I want to see keyframes for and hit the letter U on the keyboard, and it's going to bring up keyframes. So now I'm only looking at what I've keyframed, right? So if I had 4 or 5 layers here and I had keyframes for all of them, I could highlight all of those layers and hit U, and it would bring up those keyframes for each layer. All right, makes it a little bit easier to work with. So now what I want to do is with I really didn't need a keyframe for the start, but I'm going to highlight these 2 keyframes here by, I'm just going to click with my mouse here, click and drag to the left. You can see I'm lassoing those 2 together. Now they're both highlighted, and then what I want to do is right click on these keyframes and go to Keyframe Assistant and hit Easy Ease. Or a shortcut for that, I can Control Z, that is F9 on your keyboard. There you go, F9. So you hold in Function or FN and F9, which is right above the 8 or 9, I should say. Basically, this is ease these keyframes. So now what we have, if I hit the space bar, you can see it kind of starts slow and speeds up. It's the lines start coming in slow and then speeds up. It just eases into the animation, which is why it's called Easy Ease. It eases into the animation rather than just starting full go. Now, if I want to control this even more, After Effects allows you to do that and much more. If I click on this little graph up here with these 2 keyframes selected, I have to have these keyframes selected. Let me go into the graph editor, and here I have snapping on, choose graph type and options. I want to look at speed graph. Perfect. So it's on the speed graph, or how fast the animation is happening. So that's what I want to look at. So now I'm going to lasso both of these points here. This is basically showing you the animation. It's starting here at 0, and this is how fast it's going. Since we eased it in, it's not a straight line. There's kind of, you can see how it starts slow, gets to the full speed of the animation, and then goes back to slow again. So I want to exaggerate that. So what I'm going to do is click off here and click and hold on my mouse and go to the left. Whoops. Sorry. Click and hold and go to the left, and I'm just going to highlight both of those keyframes. That was what that. Just like that. There we go. Okay, now I have these little handles, and this allows me to control the animation even more. So I want it to come in super fast. So what I'm going to do is click on this little handle, click, hold, and drag it to the left. So now it's you can see it's starting really, really fast. And then I want it to slow down. So I'm going to grab this handle at the end and pull it to the left as far as I can go. And now you can see we've affected that graph where the animation is going to start really fast and then slow down at the end. So now, if I look at the animation hitting spacebar, you can see it's just a little smoother, right? So it starts really fast and then slows down at the end. And that's really pretty awesome that you have that much control over the animation, which, you know, if you're just using like PowerPoint or something, you definitely don't have that kind of control. And that's like a professional thing there to really work with the animation that much. So anyways, that is the graph editor, and to get back out of it, you just click on it again, and there you go. There's trim paths with text. Pretty simple, but also pretty cool. You know, it's all personal preference. I guess I didn't, you know, I don't really like the way that's animated in there. You know, I'd want to maybe, whoops, if I just take just this keyframe and animate it to like 2 seconds, maybe that'll look a little bit better. Yeah, that's better. Anyways, it's personal preference. Okay, I'm going to get rid of all this stuff, delete these layers, and now what I'm going to do is kind of try and recreate the circle thing that I showed you at the beginning. I'm going to drag this back out. What I'm going to do is, if I click on the square, the rectangle tool up here, and go down to an ellipse, and then I can just draw an ellipse in here, and we'll make it kind of small. An ellipse isn't a circle, right? It's a round shape, so we wanted to make it a circle. Again, I'm going to put this right in the center. Do that. So Control-Alt-Home, we'll put that right in the center. And then to make sure that this is a perfect circle, I'm going to go into, I'm going to open Shape Layer 1 up, open up the contents, open up Ellipse 1, open up Ellipse Path 1, right? So it's like the top layer for each, or the top folder for each. And then down here where it says size, you can see how it's 330 by 344. It's not perfect. I'm going to make it, let's say 300 by 300. All right, and then what I'm going to do is, now see, if I put the trim path, if I put, now I need to add the trim path, right? Just like I did with the text layer, you can see right here the word add, which is right under contents, right? So if I open up the shape layer, open up the contents, you can see this word add. I'll go up to trim paths and add the trim paths, and then it will become a part of this layer down here, and I can open up that folder, and we have the same thing we had with the text layers, and I can control just the outline of this. But what if I don't want it to be just the outline, right? I want it to look like the whole circle. So what do I have to do is, since I have, I'm gonna unlink these properties and make this 300. There we go. And now up here for the stroke, I'm going to make that the same. I'm going to make that 300. with shape layer 1 selected, I'm going to go up to the stroke, hit 300. There we go. Now if I go back down to trim pass, and now we can see it's animating kind of like Pac-Man basically, because the thickness of the outline is the same thickness as the diameter of the circle, right? So there you go. Now it looks like it's animating the entire circle rather than just the outline. So I'm going to put this again. I'm going to make sure that this is in the center. And then I'm going to animate this. So with end, let's see, I'm going to set a keyframe for the start and the end, and I'm going to make this about 15. Let's make it 15 frames. Let's do a half a second, so 15 frames. And I'm going to make this down to 0. Then I want Okay, so I'm going to start both of these at 0 so that there's nothing there. And then I'm going to go out to about half a second or 15 frames. And we'll go with the start to 100. And I'm going to go to 1 second and make the end. So if I go back to the beginning, hit the space bar, there's the animation. Great, there you go. So now I'm going to highlight all of these keyframes, right click on them and hit Easy E, go to Keyframe Assistant, hit Easy Ease. Again, function F9 is the shortcut for that. There we go, so now it looks like that. And okay, what I want to do now, here's another great shortcut, just like like if I close this layer up, click on it again and hit U, I'm just looking at keyframes. Another great shortcut is to copy a layer or duplicate a layer. I'm just going to have this layer selected and hit Control D. Now I've made a copy of that layer. So I have two of the exact same layers on top of each other. So what I want to do is make a circle a little bit bigger than that on behind it, right? So I'm going to open up this layer and I'm going to go to the contents and the ellipse path, and then the ellipse path 1, and I'm going to make this like 550 maybe. Yeah, 550 and 550. I'm going to make the stroke 550. And then I'm going to change the color of that stroke to like that, maybe. Whoops. I'm going to have shape the layer selected, and I'll change it to that. There we go. There we go. But now, the problem for the animation I'm trying to go for here, I mean, maybe that's what you want. For me, I don't want that. So what I'm going to do is, I'm gonna highlight both of these layers, hit U, so I can see all the keyframes. And then I'm just going to highlight the keyframes on the bottom layer, and I'm just going to drag them over to the right so that the layer starts a little bit later than the first. So it looks like that. And there should not be a circle in the middle, but I can see that my stroke's 300, and it needs to be 550, was it? I forget. Not sure what it was. So if I open up just this layer and the ellipse path, 550, yeah, okay. So this is what we have now. I don't know. So I'm just going to duplicate that again. Oops. So I will highlight the layer on the bottom, hit Control D. You're holding both of those at the same time. And now I want to get into this layer on the bottom and go through ellipse path, ellipse 1, ellipse path 1, and make it like 800. 800. No, I did the same thing. 800, 800, and I want the stroke to be 800. I'm going to change the color of the stroke to like an orange type deal. Right. And if I close up this layer, highlight all 3 layers, hit U to see the keyframes. I'm going to highlight all the keyframes at the bottom and just drag them out to the right a little bit. Got that going on, which is cool. We'll mess with those keyframes here in a second. Close those layers. Again, I'm going to click on the layer on the bottom, hit Control D. Go to shape layer 1 and open that up and go to ellipse 1, ellipse path 1, and make this like 1,000 by 1,000, and make this 1,000. And we're going to change the color of it to some weird blue color. We need one more layer, and we're going to make that white. So we're going to basically, we're using this as a transition. We're going from black to white. So the next layer, I'm just going to do it one more time. Layer on the bottom, Control D, go to it, open that up, go to the path and make this like, I don't know, how about 1200? 1200. Make sure that layer selected. Go to the width and go 1200. Whoa, 1200, homie. And then click on the stroke and make it white. Okay. So one thing I forgot to do is to offset the last couple keyframes. So what I'm going to do, highlight it. Let's just highlight the bottom 3 and hit U to bring up the keyframes. And then I'll highlight this orange layer. By the way, if I wanted to hit enter there, I could rename this like orange so that I could keep everything straight. Probably a good idea. But anyway, highlight the keyframes of the orange layer, slide them down, offset them a little bit. Do the same thing with the white layer. Okay, and now I'm left with something that looks like that, which is cool. I'm going to shorten this up. I'll just loop. Alright. So what I want to see is, I want the white to start quite a bit after this blue layer. There we go. All right, so there you go. I mean, a little bit of work, I guess, but kind of a cool look. And you can apply, I don't like how this, I'm gonna go up. I don't like how that pink layer is closed before, or isn't closed, I should say, before the green circle starts going again. So what I'm gonna do is highlight all of these, hit U, bring up all the keyframes, and speed this up. Pull it down. I Control Z that. Well, I don't know. It's kind of weird looking to me, but oh, what I need to do, obviously, which I didn't do. See how it goes back to black? I want it to go from black to white. So what I don't need is this last keyframe here on the white layer. I just want it to stay white. So I'm just going to click on this layer or keyframe and delete it. There you go. So now it goes from black to white. There you go. So that's another way you can use trim paths, and you can see, I hope you can see, you can use this in I mean, this can be used a million different ways. So I'm just showing you this really random way to use it with circles as a transition, and hopefully you can take that idea and apply it to something else, a different shape layer, a different way to use it, whatever. The idea here is to use the trim path. The key, I guess I should say, is to use the trim path idea and apply it to whatever it is that you want to do. All right, so the last thing I will show you with trim paths is to have full control over trim paths. One thing that you can do is bring in your own paths, or you can create your own paths here in After Effects. But you could go into Illustrator and make your own paths, like outlines, and then bring them in and animate those to get more control over the animation. So what I'm trying to say is, if I make a new text layer here, we'll just say, I'll just do my initials, M, T, D, and it's an impact, that's fine. And I will hit S for scale, and I'll turn caps lock off and scale this up. And I will center the anchor point. And then I'm going to center the characters. Okay, I'm going to click on this layer and I'm going to create shapes from text. And I'm going to turn the fill off. I'm going to turn the stroke on. And I'm going to make the color all right. There we go. So now what I want to do is I'm going to outline these myself. I'm going to go over these with the pen tool, and I'm going to have more control over what they look like. So if I use this pen tool up here, making sure that nothing is highlighted, no layers highlighted down here, because if I hit the pen tool with one of these layers highlighted, I'm making a mask on that layer, and I don't want to do that. So I'm going to have that nothing checked down there. Click on this pen tool, And let's say I want this line to start off the screen, so I'm just going to start there, and I'm going to go here, and I'm going to, it's going based off of my last stroke, I'm going to go back to like 2, the stroke width, change that to 2, I think. Alright, anyways, we can change the width of it later. And you can move these points as you make them. So there's that, and then I'm going to come over here. Just going to hit Control Z a bunch until... Okay. I'm just going to delete the shape layer. How about that? Delete. Now I'm going to make it again. Have the pen tool off the screen. Go up here. Go over here. Control Z if you make a point where you don't want it. And I probably should make these in 2 different layers. Okay, so there's one layer. Now I'm going to make a different shape layer. And right now this looks weird and crappy, but it will look cool. Hold on, give me a second. I'm going to start this out here, and here, up. Not sure where I left off. I think it was there. Okay, so I want this needs to be, I guess, to like 11 or 10. Let's say 10. And this needs to be to 10. Okay, now if I open up, I can highlight both of these layers and open both of them up at the same time and click Add and go to Trim Paths, and now I have trim paths for both of those things, and I can control start and end for both of them. I guess I didn't add the trim paths for both. There we go. Alright. So now if I make keyframes for the start and end of the M paths, then I go out to like 10 frames. I'll make that start 100. I go down here and make that 100. And then I want to bring the end so that the tail is off. So I'm going to make it like right there. Make the end at 20. And go back up to the other one. And make the end like 25. I guess I can make like 24.5 or something like that, or 25.5. There you go. So now what I want to do is get rid of, I'm just going to hide the outlines. If I click on this eyeball here so I can't see it. If I hit the space bar, you can see that's way too fast. So again, I'll highlight both of these layers, hit U, and I'll grab these end keyframes and bring them out to like a second. Now what do we got? Cool. And now you can see how much control you can have. I hope you can see that, how much control you have by using trim paths. And if I didn't want these to intersect, I could have this one start a lot earlier. So let's do that. So if I have I want this line to be finished. There we go. Before that starts, or right as it starts. How about that? There we go. I don't know what I'm really doing, but you can. The key is that you can control all of this, which is cool, I think. So if I did that with the rest, if I can turn these back on, animated these back in with, or if I did the same thing with these other 2 letters and animated them all back in, or all in, you could see how much control I would have over that. So basically what I want you to do is take these ideas and take your initials. It doesn't have to be your initials, but if you really just want to do something really quick, take your initials and have trim pass, where animate the trim pass in and have, like, I don't know, at least 2 different paths for each letter, so that so they're all animating in like this M, something like that. And if you want to, you can remember, if we want to make all of these easy E's, we can go into the graph editor for all of this and mess with these points so that they're starting fast, ending slow, something like that. But there you go. That's the assignment that you have, is to take your initials, or if you don't want to do your initials in a word or something, and create the trim pass for your initials. By the way, let me go back out of here. If you have, and I will turn on you have a letter here that's like curved. When you're using this pen tool, if I click on that point, and now let me just make sure I'm clicking off of these layers. Okay. If I want to make a curve, basically what I do with the pen tool, click to start this point, and then if I go down like past the curve, I can click and hold and move the mouse, or if you're using a trackpad, not a mouse, click, hold, and move the mouse to make the curve, right? And then once I'm done, I can let go. I can go down here. Oops. And then again, skip the curve, click, hold, drag it out so that it follows the curve as closely as possible. I can close that up, and that's only one path. I should have made 2 paths, but anyways, let me turn the turn that off, and then I would have to do another path for the inside of the D. But again, I just open this up, hit add, trim pass, and again now I can animate. I want to start after that. Put 0. Start. There we go. You can do that. Just trying to show you. You can take more time with it, zoom in and make it look a little bit better, but basically just showing you how to make those curves. So there you go. That's trim pass in a nutshell. Sorry if the video is long. Trying to explain a whole bunch of different ways to use trim pass, so hopefully you can get some ideas from it. But the assignment that you have with your initials, create the trim pass and animate the trim pass in with it. if you want to, you can animate it out, and I can show you how easily you can do that. But the video is already long enough, so I'm going to stop. All right, peace.